Mother to tigers. Suppose you were a lion cub, abandoned. Suppose you lay hungry and cold in the straw at the back of the den, and a man came in the cage and lifted you into a case and put you in a car to go home with him. Suppose a woman bathed you. Suppose she warmed milk on the stove and poured it in a bottle, and put you on a pillow in her lap to drink till you were full and sleepy. Then put you in a box that would be your bed and a kitchen that would be your home, till you got big enough to roam the apartment, stalking the sofa, pouncing on the chairs, till you outgrew a human's house and went home to the Bronx Zoo. Your name would be MacArthur, and the woman who saved you, Helen Frances Teresa Delaney Martini. Helen never planned to raise cubs. She and her husband, Fred, wanted children, but their first baby died, and doctors said she couldn't have more. To ease their hurt hearts, they collected pets, a parrot, a dog, a starling, and 12 canaries. Before long, their little apartment was full of song and feathers. On weekends, when Fred was free from his job as a jeweler, they strolled through the Bronx Zoo, just down the street from their house. Fred loved those times, watching polar bears dive and elephants amble, studying the grace of giraffes. Finally, Helen said, "Why don't you follow your heart and work at the zoo?" So he did. Each night, he brought home questions about animals he cared for, and together he and Helen would read and learn. When he brought MacArthur home to the apartment on Old Kingsbridge Road, the cub was a pitiful sight. "Just do for him what you would do for a human baby," Fred told Helen, and she did. After MacArthur came Dacca, Rajpur, and Ranaganj, a litter of Bengal tigers. Rajpur was so cold and thin, Helen thought he might die. But she put him on a heating pad and sat by him for hours, moistening his mouth with milk. At last he gave a weak cry. Helen almost cried too. Feeding 3 was a challenge. Helen wished she were an octopus, but before long those scrawny babies were sleek, fat cubs ready to romp. Once, washing clothes in the bath, Helen heard Ranaganj crying. His head was caught behind a pipe. While she ran to the rescue, Rajpur and Dacca discovered the tub. Crouch, leap, splash! Tigers love water. When the striped trio had to go back to the zoo, they still needed their bottles. So Helen brought a hot plate and set up a little kitchen in the sleeping room at the back of their cage. The first night, she and Fred ate their dinner there too. Helen didn't want to leave till her cubs were fast asleep. Come daybreak, she was back and she was thinking, these tigers will grow up, but there will always be zoo babies who need special care. She couldn't take all of them home, but she could bring home to them. She could start a nursery at the zoo. "Just give me a room," she said to Mr. Crandall, the man in charge. "I'll do all the work," and she did. She cleaned and plastered a storeroom, which she painted pink and blue. Then she begged, borrowed, and bought everything she needed. Starting out, she didn't get paid, but that wasn't what mattered. She was following her heart, and her nursery filled up quickly. Soon, it was official. She was the first woman keeper in the history of the Bronx Zoo. Before Helen arrived, no tiger born at the zoo had ever survived. She raised 27, along with yapokes and marmosets, gorillas and chimpanzees, deer and ring-tailed lemurs. She still took cubs home too, lions, tigers, jaguars, and a black leopard. Helen's cubs had cubs that were sent to zoos all around the world. The idea of the nursery spread too. So wherever you live, when you go to the zoo, look hard at the mighty cats. Their grandparents may have opened their eyes on Old Kingsbridge Road, may have learned to walk in that apartment kitchen, saved by Helen Frances Teresa Delaney Martini, mother to tigers.